and welcome to News at this hour. I am your host Rika Roy. Before we dive into the news, here are the headlines at this hour. On the agenda for the G20 talks will center around volatile food and energy prices, multilateral development banks. Will there be a Delhi declaration and inclusion of African Union? That will be a big achievement of India's presidency. Political row over Sanatan Dharma escalates. DMK MP A. Raja backs Stalin Jr., fires fresh salvo. BJP targets Congress over DMK leaders' comments. The World Heritage Site Sanchi in Raisin district has become India's first solar city to reduce carbon emissions by 13,747 tons. Junior External Affairs Minister Meenakshi Lekhi says India's presidency of the G20 will be a watershed moment. The G20 is witnessing the voice of the Global South. We are hours away from the G20 summit. The world leaders are arriving. Security has been further intensified in the national capital ahead of the high-profile G20 summit scheduled for this weekend, with the Delhi police conducting flag marches, enhanced patrolling and increased picket checking to ensure law and order in the city. According to a senior police officer, flag marches are being conducted in each district of the city for anti-terrorism measures. Both CAPF and National Security Guard have been engaged. Delhi remains on high alert.
We are standing right outside Bharat Mandapam. This is the place where the G20 summit will take place, and what we are seeing now is that the free flow of traffic here, though huge deployment of police personnel, not just Delhi police personnel, along with paramilitary forces are also deployed here, but for now the traffic is very much free, and there is a free flow of traffic, though police personnel are here regulating the traffic. And what we are being told by Delhi police personnel here is that they will restrict the traffic flow here sharply at around 5 a.m. So from 5 a.m. this will become a regulated area, and that's where no traffic apart from those permitted vehicles, no other vehicles will be allowed to ply in these roads. So that's why what we could see is that not just Delhi police personnel but even paramilitary forces are also deployed here. So when we did reach out to our sources in Delhi police, what we are being told is that almost 1.3 lakh security personnel will be deployed across the NCR region to ensure smooth conduct of this G20 summit, and also to take care of law and order situation, which also includes almost 10,000 traffic police personnel who will be deployed across the city, with almost 400 crucial junctions have been noted by the Delhi police, and all these traffic police personnel along with Delhi police personnel will be deployed in all 400 zones or 400 junctions to ensure that there is no untoward accident and also untoward incident, and also free flow of traffic, and also that will also help them in the smooth conduct of G20 summit.
The dignitaries have begun to arrive from all corners of the globe. President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen arrived in Delhi for the G20 summit, and so has the managing director of IMF. Mauritius Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth is in Delhi ahead of the G20 summit as well. The leaders of the G20 forum, including US President Joe Biden, Britain's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, will be arriving in Delhi on Friday. As Narendra Modi-led government gears up for the G20 summit this weekend, the Indian Prime Minister will hold bilateral conversations with Mauritian Prime Minister and Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as well, followed by a scheduled meeting come dinner with US President Joe Biden on Friday.
India has signed a first agreement with the first country in Africa, with Mauritius. The Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement is another testimony of the consideration that India has for Mauritius. I appeal to Indian entrepreneurs to use Mauritius as a gateway to Africa.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres speaks about India's G20 presidency and what challenges the summit will address. Listen in.
I'm confident that India will do everything possible to make sure that the geopolitical divides that exist are overcome and that the G20 can conclude with possible results. There are, of course, questions that for me would be essential to create the conditions in debt relief and in access to concessional funding, long-term concessional funding, to allow developing countries to be able to overcome the impacts of COVID-19, of the war in Ukraine, and at the same time I would be obviously very interested in seeing the emerging economies and the developed countries that are gathering in the G20 to be able to come to a united approach to an increased ambition in mitigation to reduce emissions as we are facing a catastrophic climate situation.
Now, a common framework or template on crypto assets is expected to emerge during G20 summit under India's presidency. The expected framework will provide guidance to deal with risks, both financial and regulatory, related to such digital currencies. Sources have said that India's presidency of G20 has prepared a presidential note related to crypto assets to aid global leaders to take a view on such digital currency.
New Delhi seems all set to give a go-ahead at the G20 summit for a global regulatory framework and a template to deal with crypto assets. Informed sources say world leaders are expected to sign off as a consensus has emerged on how the world should approach dealing with crypto assets.
Responsible global governance of fintech and artificial intelligence has been high on India's G20 agenda. New Delhi took the lead in bringing out a consensus based on papers presented by the IMF and the Financial Stability Board. Sources say the expected framework will provide guidance to deal with risk, both financial and regulatory, related to digital currencies. India's approach is based on the fact that in the case of digital assets, they are borderless, no regulation can work in isolation, and a coordinated approach is required. Something Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been emphasizing.
समय के साथ अब हमारे सामने ऐसे विषय भी जुड़ते जा रहे हैं जिनके बारे में 10-15 साल पहले कोई सोच भी नहीं सकता था. अब जैसे क्रिप्टो करेंसी से जुड़ी चुनौती है, इस मामले में ज्यादा से ज्यादा इंटीग्रेटेड अप्रोच की जरूरत है. मैं समझता हूं इसके लिए एक ग्लोबल फ्रेमवर्क बनाया जाना चाहिए जिसमें सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स का ध्यान रखना चाहिए. आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस को लेकर भी इसी प्रकार की अप्रोच की जरूरत है.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who has been working with other finance ministers, had recently agreed for a global approach to deal with new fintech companies.
Crypto threat as well as an opportunity, but crypto is also an example that I use later to say how and let's go of global cooperation. So building a responsible financial ecosystem is important. It has to be therefore, going back to the title, it has to be therefore inclusive, it has to be resilient, and it has to be sustainable. India's presidency has put on table in the G20 issues related to regulating or understanding that there should be a framework for handling issues related to crypto assets.
Consensus is also emerging on greater leverage of capital for multilateral development banks. India has been keen on a declaration incorporating all points of synergy.
Our shared purpose, shared planet, shared prosperity and shared future.
Despite Russia and China having issues with food and energy issues and dealing with global debt.
The final outcome of the agreed text or declaration will be left to world leaders who will work on the emerging consensus to ensure that they can send a message across to the world on their approach towards new age technologies and companies. With camera person Pooja Arya, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
And before we go into a very tiny break on the show, let me show you how G20 India has shared a welcoming video to all the delegates coming in for G20 on the social media platform X.
Our ancient scriptures have a saying, Atithi Devo Bhava. Whether it is music or food, art or culture, the diversity of India is truly majestic. I welcome you all to Incredible India.
Welcome back. A political confrontation between the DMK and BJP is brewing. DMK MP A. Raja today reportedly said that Sanatan was like HIV in the context of the social stigma it has led to and discrimination suffered by those from the scheduled castes. He was speaking at a conference in Tamil Nadu. Sharp reactions have come in from the BJP to these comments.
உதயநிதி ஸ்டாலின் அவர்கள் மென்மையாகத்தான் சொன்னார், மலேரியா போல டெங்கு போல ஒழிக்க வேண்டும் என்று. மலேரியாவுக்கும் டெங்குக்கும் சோசியல் ஸ்டிக்மா இல்ல, அது ஒரு அருவருப்பா சமூகம் பார்க்காது. அருவருவாக பார்க்கிற ஒரு சனாதனத்தை சொல்லணும்னா முறைப்படி ஒரு காலத்துல தொழுநோய் இருந்தது, இப்ப ஹெச்ஐவி இருந்தது. எங்களை பொறுத்தவரை ஹெச்ஐவி தொழுநோயை போல ஹெச்ஐவி போல சமூக அவலம் நிறைந்த ஒரு நோயாகத்தான் நம்ம பார்க்கிறோம்.
This is utterly disgusting, एकदम शर्मनाक है. लगता है कुछ लोग जिनको एचआईवी की बीमारी के बारे में कुछ जानकारी है और कुछ मच्छर और डेंगू मच्छर के बारे भी हो सकती है, वो लगता है कुछ ऐसे व्यक्ति हैं जो एचआईवी की बीमारी के लिए उन्होंने डेंगू की मेडिसिन ले ली है और ये जो उनका ब्रेन डैमेज हुआ है ये परमानेंट हुआ है. और जिन्होंने ऐसी बातें की है सनातन धर्म के बारे, भारतीय संस्कृति सभ्यता के बारे, उनको शर्म आनी चाहिए. और ऐसे लोग आज ये इंडी अलायंस है, आई फुल स्टॉप, एन फुल स्टॉप, डी फुल स्टॉप, आई फुल स्टॉप, ए. द कंट्री एंड ऑल इंडियंस आर डिस्गस्टेड बाय दिस काइंड ऑफ स्टेटमेंट और मुझे लगता है इनको जनता के सामने जवाब देना पड़ेगा.
From south, we move to northeast of India, and in a significant development, Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu told the Legislative Assembly that the centre has proposed to construct a large barrage on Siang River in the state to keep it alive in view of the political threats from a huge dam on Yarlung Sangpo River up the stream of Siang in China. China is reportedly building several dams on the Yarlung Sangpo in the Tibet region. The Yarlung Sangpo becomes the Siang in Arunachal Pradesh. According to a latest report brought out by the Copernicus Climate Change Summit Service, August 2023 was the warmest August on record globally and warmer than all other months except for July 2023. The global temperature anomaly for the first 8 months of 2023, January to August, ranks second warmest on record. Global temperature continues to tumble in 2023 with the warmest August following on from the warmest July and June, leading to the warmest unreal, in fact, summer on record going back to 1940 2023 is currently ranked as the second warmest at only 0.01 degrees Celsius behind 2016, with 4 months of the year remaining.